Dick,
Good morning, everybody. My name is Joseph Ellis. I'm with the Kentucky Injury Prevention and Research Center. I have been a program coordinator there since January of 2020, so I had the pleasure of starting right when COVID shut everything down. But today I'm going to talk about FindHelpNow. That might be something that a lot of people are familiar with already, but there has been a lot of expansion. And so I want to go through some of that expansion, and I want to go over our specific mental health portion of it. So FindHelpNow originated with the Data to Action grant. It was given from the CDC to improve referral process for obtaining near real-time available substance use disorder treatment facility slots. So when someone goes and searches on there for SUD treatment, they are able to see who exactly is taking new clients, who has an open bed, and who does not. There also was, right after that, we did recovery housing. So individuals with SUD could go and find recovery housing after their treatment. And so that was done to improve referral process for obtaining near real-time available recovery housing beds. It's the same setup. We did that on purpose. And it's, again, just so that people can say, okay, you know, I've done treatment, but what are my next steps? Where do I go now? People couldn't really find recovery housing. It was a lot of word of mouth. And so this site was created to give them a way to find all of that. And then both have community information and education for substance use disorders and recovery housing on them as well. Then I wasn't in the room when this happened, so I like to pretend that, you know, they said, wow, everything was so good that we just want to give you a lot of money. Keep doing what you're doing. And the Department for Behavioral Health and Developmental and Intellectual Disabilities said, hey, we want you to expand this into mental health. Okay. So we did the exact same steps that we did in the previous two. We did it to improve referral process for obtaining near real-time available mental health treatment facility slots. We integrated it into the overall FindHelpNowKY.org site. That way there is one entry point to find all of this. We also added an entry point for the recovery housing and for the naloxone, Find Naloxone site. And then we wanted to provide a comprehensive dynamic directory of available community resources for those experiencing suicidal thoughts or other crises. And that portion I find rather interesting because when we were starting this process and we were talking to the call centers and 988 administration, the call centers kind of said, okay, so when we have someone call with a crisis, our steps are, you know, make sure they're not in danger. If they are, you know, kind of talk them down, get them to a safe spot. And then once they're in a safe spot, we look for resources. Where can we send them? What can we get for them? And we said, okay, what do those resources look like? Like, what's your list look like? And they either said, I think some people said they might have had a paper one, or some people said, you know, it's on the computer. They just kind of search through the files and find the resource. Okay, who updates that? Well, it's a little outdated. Okay, and let's say, you know, you're a backup call center, right? Eastern Kentucky's got a flood, so that call center isn't able to pick up for anybody. It gets sent over here. What resources do you have for Eastern Kentucky? Well, we don't have those. We would pretty much Google it. Okay, so there's a little bit of a disconnect and a problem. So this way, call centers all have, for the whole state, they have access to these resources. They can find them. It's all updated. It's all regulated and consistent. And then we have the naloxone, and that was done with the CORE grant, or the Kentucky Opioid Response Effort at the Department for Behavioral Health and Developmental Intellectual Disorders. They wanted to provide a comprehensive and dynamic directory of available locations to obtain naloxone by purchase or free of charge across the whole state of Kentucky. So you can get on there, you can find the naloxone, whether you need to pay for it, whether you need to get it for free. And I'm pretty sure if you're an agency who wants to be able to give it out and teach on it and things like that, they have a contact form for that as well. So you can help get naloxone for everybody. And so what I want to do with most of my time here is I actually want to give you all a demonstration of the site. I'm going to spend most of my time looking at the mental health and the community resources because those are the newest portions of FindHelpNow. The SUD portion works just the same as what I'm going to show you for the mental health. And I'll show you how those are actually connected. And then if there is time, I will go over naloxone and the recovery housing site as well. And then I do want to say that since we launched the rebuild of FindHelpNow that had all 4 sites connected into one single entry point, we have had, so that's about 3 months now, we've had 1,446 searches started for substance use disorder treatment, 521 for recovery housing, 986 searches started for mental health treatment, and 359 searches started for naloxone. So this site is getting pretty good traction. It is a tool. It seems to be very, very successful. We just kind of need to get the word out a little bit more and help people use it. So I'm going to do the illustration. Okay, so when you get to the site, just like it showed in the picture, you're going to see mental health, substance use disorder, recovery housing, and naloxone. By clicking on Start Your Search, you will be able to start your search. You can also click to call 988 here. So if you're on here because you're looking for any type of resources, but you are in a crisis and you're not really sure what you're looking for or what to do, you can call 988 through here. And it gives you a lot of information on how to get assistance and kind of what to do to get help with the site as well. And then they also have information down here about HIV status and how to prevent HIV. So when we're doing mental health, we're going to click Start Your Search. And there's a couple of questions that will help filter, but the first question is more for our side of things. For our reporting, it's who needs help, myself, friend or loved one, or a client or patient. That's just so that we know who's using the site and where this is being successfully used. So if we're saying myself, you would then select gender. We have a variety of options here because we want to be as inclusive as possible. Whether or not you have a substance use disorder diagnosis as well, that lets us know, okay, we need to either specifically look for somebody that look for treatment that specifically does both mental health and substance use disorder or not. That way we're making sure we're hitting all the comorbidities. And then there's location. So you can search, we'll do Frankfurt if the computer will work. And then treatment types. You have inpatient, outpatient, intensive outpatient, telehealth, and crisis stabilization. So we'll do outpatient, and then we have payment types. So how you're going to be able to pay, and whether or not you have military insurance, you need a sliding scale, Medicare will cover it, or you're doing private insurance. And then when you hit search, it's going to give you the number of facilities that match your criteria. Over here, again, you can switch between substance use disorder and mental health treatment. So again, that is how the two are tied. You can switch that, or you can say, I need both. I specifically need it for both. And you can kind of see how the numbers will change a little bit as you search through them like that. So the substance use disorder and the mental health treatment locators literally work exactly the same. You have more filters over here to talk about treatment types, whether you need inpatient, residential, short-term, long-term, family. Population served, we have a very long list. We have age broken down, gender, and whether or not, pregnant, postpartum, LGBTQ plus, first responders, teachers, whether or not you have a preferred language between English, Spanish, and American Sign Language, whether you're deaf or hard of hearing, whether or not you're involved in the correctional and legal system. We have all of this information in here. That way, people are getting the treatment that have the services that they need. We want to make sure that everything is catered to and everything's thought about. And then we have facility types, nonprofit, faith-based, and private. And then, of course, there's additional services down here as well. And then once you've selected all your filters, everything that you're kind of looking for, you'll see all of your different, let's do children. You'll see all of your different potential treatment facilities over here, and you'll see these little cards. You can click view more to get more information on their description, or you can click the name and we'll go to their profile. You'll see contact information, facility hours. It gives you a map to show you exactly where they are. You'll see their about information again. And then down here is kind of where you see everything that you're looking for, whether or not they're taking new patients for their short-term residential facility or telehealth. Here, you'll actually see that they aren't accepting any more people for telehealth right now. Their facilities, their clients are kind of full. They don't have any spots. It also talks about the treatment services, about case management, anger management down here, the populations that they serve, and then their policies as well in regards to tobacco. All of this is there just so that you can kind of see what you need, and you can then print facility. So if you are looking for someone, you can say, okay, hey, I found this great facility. I can print it out and I can hand it to you. And then your client or that person would have all of that information. You can also click over here to say show on map, and it shows exactly where everything is. You can sort by closest or furthest away depending on what you're needing. Some people don't want to go to treatment nearby. Some people want to go further away from where they actually live. And so that's why we thought of that. Down here, you can also search for a specific facility by name or description if you so choose. And then over here, we also have learning materials, which has documents and links. And this is all one-page informationals about a variety of different things from substance use, harm reduction, crises, comorbidities, mental health, recovery, and things like that. So you click on mental health, you can click pregnant postpartum, and here you're going to see a postpartum and a pregnancy mental health one-pager that kind of gives information on those topics. And then you'll also have terms and definitions, any terms that might be used on the site that might be confusing or people have never heard of. All of those will be listed here. That way people can figure out exactly what we're talking about when we say, CBT or cognitive behavioral therapy. And then the community resources that I told you about that I was actually fairly excited about. When you click that tab, you will see that it asks for a city, zip. And so if we do Fayette County, Kentucky, and we hit search, we are going to get our results. Now, we have categories over here on the left, and that goes through basic needs, assisted living, government, physical health services, domestic and interpersonal violence services, and employment and education services. You will want to select the category that you are looking for first, and it will give you the results. And then if you need to, you can filter further by topic. So for basic needs, we have financial, housing, food, and clothing assistance. Once let's say we're looking for housing assistance. We'll click housing assistance, it'll change the results, and we have these. You can also go to population and say you're looking for adults, children, general being anybody, or older adults. And so when you get here, again, you have these little cards that we had just for facilities as well. And it kind of gives you information. So the Hope Center, emergency shelter, it gives you the location, the phone number, website, and it has tags and information right there as well. So Emerson Center gives you an address, phone number, etc. In terms of domestic and interpersonal violence, we try not to give addresses. You'll see there's not an address here. There's a P.O. box here. There's not an address there. We do that for the obvious reasons of making sure that people can't find those facilities and try to find people that are in those domestic violence and interpersonal violence situations. So we want to keep everybody as safe as possible. We also have FAQs that people can go through about mental health, substance use, talking about how do I use the site, what if I'm facing a medical emergency, where can I find additional information and things like that. And then if we go back to the home page, again, the substance use disorder is run exactly the same. If you click start your search, you will see exactly the same thing. The only difference here is it says currently also has a mental health diagnosis instead of like the last one when I showed you, it said currently has substance use disorder diagnoses. The naloxone site takes you to a different URL, but you can see, locations where naloxone is available at free of charge or for purchase. And you can click those and the map will change when you hit show locations. And so you can see all these pharmacies here where you can purchase naloxone, or you can go back to free of charge, and it will show you all of the locations in which you can get naloxone for free. Community-based organizations, local health departments, recovery community centers, and regional prevention centers. You can also search specifics by city or zip. And so if we're talking, Georgetown, Scott County, it's then going to give me a pin exactly where in that zip code I can find naloxone. And then, like I said before, if you're ordering for an agency, if you need more for your agency so you all can do distribution or caring for all your employees and things like that, you can click this tab and get more information. And then the recovery housing site again it's a different URL as well. And it goes through a very similar situation as the mental health and the substance use disorder treatment. I am who are you in terms of who's searching. That's for our reporting purposes on the back end. Searching for houses within however many miles of the zip code or the city. So if I do Scott County again, and then select a population of men, when I start my search, it's going to give me houses. It always starts with only show houses with availability. The whole purpose is if you're looking for a house, odds are you're looking for one that has a bed. So if you are looking for a general list, you would need to make sure you uncheck that so that you can get everything. But this is just how it all starts. It's going to start also by what's closest and what's available. You'll see over here when it was last updated, so you know exactly how relevant that information is. We have Oxford houses and KRHN certified homes on here. You will have a list of populations served, payment types, and average rent. That way you can kind of filter through what you need. Yes.
How often is the information updated? Like, is it up to individual agencies to update their information, like especially the buttons that show availability or if they're accepting new patients?
For recovery housing, it's weekly, or they get taken off the site. For treatment purposes, I believe outpatient is 100. No, outpatient is, I might have them backwards. One of them is 180 days and one of them is weekly as well. I just can't remember whether it's inpatient or outpatient that does that. And again, if they don't update, they get taken off the site. The whole point of our sites is for that near real-time availability, making sure that people know where they can go to get those treatments and find those beds. And so if they're not willing to participate like that, then we'll just take them off. And then real quick, I'll show you what a card looks like for here. You'll see the certification, the residents served with icons, contact information, languages spoken, and then goes more into rules and policies. You'll see tobacco use allowed in designated areas, and then crossed out is medication for opioid use disorder. They don't really accept individuals who are on MOUD. And so you can kind of see exactly what the house has, what the house offers, and what they don't. Number of beds, accessibility, resident requirements. It's pretty extensive. We ask people to upload as much as they possibly can. That way everyone knows exactly what they're getting into when they go into these homes, when they ask to go to these facilities, and when they want any type of treatment. We want people to have everything that they would need. And so I know that my time is about up, and I want to be able to hand out information. So if you need anything in terms of the mental health, community resources, contact information for my supervisor, the project manager is Catherine Hines, myself, Joseph Ellis, and then my colleague Peyton Calhoun. Our information is up here. I also left my business cards out there on the table. So if you need us for anything, if you want demonstrations done for your company, your organization, your employees, please reach out to us. We're more than happy to do any and all of that. We have been doing some for judicial commissions recently. That way they all have this information. And then if you need anything in terms of recovery housing or SUD, we have Leah Dick and Caroline Hanshoe, who are more on top of the SUD treatment and FindHelpNow, and then Leah Dick and Angie Kirby over top of the recovery housing.
Joseph, Catherine stated inpatient is once a week, outpatient is every 180 days.
Okay, thank you. I knew I had it. I just wasn't sure which one it was. Yeah.
Just one more question, sorry. Like, do you have any promotional materials?
There are some on the site that you can download that have like QR codes or stickers and brochures, but I don't have any to hand out.
Some of the gangs are beginning to mix veterinary things into their street drugs now, and it doesn't respond to naloxone. Are you guys encountering any of those kinds of mixes where they're putting the xylazine and the other vet tranquilizers in there and not getting the reaction you would anticipate from the naloxone? What are you doing about that if you've encountered it?
I would love to have an answer for you, but that is outside of my wheelhouse. I help with this site. I help do these types of presentations and make sure that people can find treatment. I'm not really on the medical side of things. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, well, thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.